It's Christmas time in the U.S. and Wales. Santa Chappie is happy, sharing some tales, telling stories of Christmases from not long ago, while El Chatty is here enjoying the show. It's Christmas time with El Chappie. We're all here together and we're happy. We wish you well, can't you tell? Hurry, Dylan, prep that food, make it snappy. As Dylan, he stays busy as he's looking at his list. Be they naughty, be they nice, he hopes no one gets pissed. The Happy Day show is for all to enjoy, except for Dana, that wanker Speedo boy. It's Christmas time with El Chappie. We're all here together and we're happy. We wish you well, can't you tell? Hurry, Dylan, prep that food, make it snappy. There's lots of love in the chat for each other. Everyone treats the other like their brother or sister in some cases, don't you know? Aaron Hack's bus is coming with El Chappie in tow. It's Christmas time with El Chappie. Ceredigion, Rhode Island lady are happy. So is Lisa Reed and Disney Queen. Come on, Christmas, hurry up, don't be mean. Sassy, Toots, Sarah P. are all here. And Mark and Bev and Stacy share the cheer. And then, of course, we have the Sweeneys. We love Tracy more than Dana, such a weenie. It's Christmas time now and then. Robin G will be riding through the glen. Boston Amy is also here, while the following folks share the cheer.
Brody Dodd,
Gary Beeston,
Hippie Chick,
Crystal,
Heather Taylor, Daffy Dill, Les,
Daniel F,
Ruka Shrew,
Half Pint Viv,
Terry Martin,
Yaya Trucker,
Kelly Eggleston, Corn Pope Keith.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Hey, how are we, people? Shout out, thanks to Dana again for making that song. I love that song. I know it's not Christmas, but it's uplifting, isn't it? It's good to have that song, so I thought I'd play it. So there we go. Hello to you, Robin G, riding through the glen. How are you, my darling? I missed Keith's comment. I don't know what Keith said. Keith's a cheater, you bastard, Keith, you bastard. I don't know what he said, but knowing Keith is probably something aggressive. Morning, Sue. How are you, my darling? Hope you're well. Happy Monday to you as well. Sasmas, hello to you, my darling. Bank holiday today. Whoa, bank holiday. Whoa, wow, amazing. Courts in action, by the way. Half Pint Viv. Hello, my darling. Not in chat, but I want to hit. Happy day to you. Thank you, my darling.
Yes.
Hang on, I can't hear them, so I'll boost it up in a bit. Morning, Dana. How are you, sir? Hope you're well. Christine, hello to you. Gary, hello, my friend. Hope you're well, my friend. Sasmas is here. Happy days. There you go. Right, what's this judge saying now? I boosted it.
Yes.
Whoa. I think the state arrested. Whoa. Hey now. Hey, hippie chick. Hello, my darling. Right, let's listen very carefully here. I think they've rested. Yes!
Yes.
They're resting.
Yes. And actually, Mr. Hendry will be making the argument.
We're in jail right now. Sorry, I was setting my computer up.
I'm not bad, thank you, Gary. Not bad. Thank you, my friend. Hippie chicks in the house.
Right.
I hope you all like my vlog on the weekend.
During
Well,
this time, the defense moves for a judgment of acquittal on both counts. I will work with the kidnapping charge first. The state's charge of kidnapping First, kidnapping is a specific intent crime, which means that at the time the alleged kidnapping took place, it had to be the intent to kidnap. And typically the intent is to commit something else. So it's charged right now that the intent was to either further the commission of another felony or to harm or terrorize the victim. Now, as far as the evidence that has been presented in this trial about the kidnapping, we have essentially the two neighbor witnesses who presented any testimony whatsoever about the kidnapping. Both witnesses describe Kathy Griffith as angry. They describe her as, stomping around in the yard, throwing things into a car. The first witness described her swinging her arms around a lot, both away from Collin and as she approached Collin, and even up until she was so close that Collin could reach out and touch her. So at that moment, we have the testimony, which seems to align between both witnesses, that Collin grabbed his mother. She exclaimed, according to witness 1, "Let go, you're hurting my hair." Witness 2 did not hear anything. And then, although it has been argued that Collin dragged her into the house, the actual testimony from the witnesses was that the two went into the house. So if we pause it right there, at this point, we have what is arguably a misdemeanor battery. We have what could be a defensible touch on Collin's part, that he, in response to his mother swinging his arms in his face, reached out and grabbed her. And whether or not he had the right to do so, either way, it would either be a defensible battery or a misdemeanor battery. When examined on cross-examination, neither witness said that they heard Kathy exclaim anything about not wanting to go into the house. They did not see her fighting to not go into the house. They saw her legs moving. They saw her go into the house with Collin. And that moment is what has been alleged and the only evidence that has been shown of a kidnapping. So at that point, Mr. Griffith's specific intent to kidnap has to have been completed. We do not have that in this case, Your Honor. We have not heard any evidence that there was any fight on Kathy's part, any unwillingness to go inside of that house in that moment. We know she didn't want to be touched at that time, that she said that you're hurting me. We don't know if she was upset about him having his hands on her. We do know that he was touching her too hard, essentially, is the evidence that has come forward. And again, that would be a misdemeanor, which would not be sufficient in any case to charge a kidnapping with. So we move on from there. What evidence have we heard in this case that is going to turn this from a misdemeanor battery to a kidnapping? Well, we ultimately have a deceased person in this house. We have, the fact that she is found in the house roughly an hour and 15 minutes after this incident occurred, with the yelling outside and the touch on the upper torso. And we have no evidence of what happened inside the house. We have no evidence that Kathy was not in that house, or was in that house against her will, that she remained in that house against her will, that she was not able to move in that house. The only evidence we have of anything that happened inside that house is the body itself, with the forensic evidence that has come into play from that, and Mr. Griffith's 911 call. Mr. Griffith's 911 call states that there was an extended, prolonged fight, and that they ultimately, there's the accident that she fell on the knife. There is no mention that that fight started outside of the house, that it continued inside of the house, that it continued all the way up until the moment of her death. There is no evidence that she was dragged immediately from the porch into the house and murdered at that time, like the state may offer as an alternative. We have not heard that from any witness. We have not seen that in any evidence that has been presented. So again, the evidence of the kidnapping turns back to the misdemeanor battery, that she was touched, that she exclaimed upon the touch, and that she continued into the house without doing anything else to say that she did not want to go in that house. All of the case law on kidnapping gets into whether or not that the crime itself was completed, whether it was necessary to complete the other crime if there is another crime that's charged. But all of it, every case, includes proof that the victim was held or moved against their will. And we don't have that in this case. So we are not even at the starting point of whether or not you should consider a phase-on test or anything like that that falls under the kidnapping line of cases, because we have not heard a single piece of evidence that says that Miss Griffith did not go inside of that house willingly. So for that reason, we are asking for a judgment of acquittal on the kidnapping charge. As far as the first-degree murder goes, Your Honor, the evidence that has been presented so far of premeditation is that Mr. Griffith had a conversation with his grandfather in which he said that he wants to kill his mother, that he wants to slit her throat, according to the witness. We have the testimony from the officers who stated that he said things like he wanted to kill her. We have the testimony of Mr. Griffith himself in the back of the car where he said that he could kill her. Again, other than Mr. Llandysul's testimony, every one of those officers, every piece of body cam footage, every piece of car footage that we've seen is conditional. That if violence occurs, if she comes at me again, if anything, then premeditation does not override someone's right to self-defense. If it did, then every officer who ever acted with lethal force would be charged with a capital crime. They are trained to respond to situations, and they know how to respond to that situation. That knowledge does not create premeditation. The fact that Mr. Griffith thought about what he would do in a situation where he felt that he was being threatened, and even took it as far as to how he would do it, does not create premeditation. That is not a crime. That can still fall within the realm of self-defense. The only piece of evidence that we have that would go against that is that that he didn't have enough marks on his body. I mean, the state offered physical proof that he had injuries. They have argued that those injuries were insufficient in opening. We have not had any witnesses testify to the extent of Collin's injuries, what could have caused those injuries, what could not have caused those injuries. In order for this to be a first-degree murder, we have to have premeditation, which so far I do not believe the state has proven, and we have to have a waiver of self-defense in some way. If there is just a waiver of self-defense, if this was a fight that got out of control, I apologize. Do you have to?
Just my child's school keeps calling, but I'm wondering if there's an emergency.
Yes, Your Honor. I understand.
Okay, so that's the judge's school. His child's school keeps ringing, so they're just going to check that in case there's an emergency there, which is fair enough. Do you know what I mean? Children do come first, I believe, no matter what. So let me just fast forward this a little bit. So yeah, it looks like they're doing self-defense. Oh. So for those that don't know, Lisa Reed is joining us. I believe she's from somewhere like Michigan, somewhere there. First-time viewer, first-time caller. She makes videos for a living. So she's promised us some videos and stuff like that. So welcome, Lisa Reed. We're really happy to have you here. Only teasing. I haven't seen Lisa for a while, but I hope you're well, my darling. Lovely to see you as always. And Sassmas, it's lovely to see you as well. I've seen you for a while as well. So and everybody else, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate all of you. Well, everyone except for Dana, obviously. So first time viewer with a gold star. Always got a gold star. Erin Hack's the only one that doesn't have a gold star, I think.
Okay. Your Honor, I was speaking as to the if this were a fight that got out of control and Mr. Griffith had started that fight, then this is arguably second-degree murder, as would be charged, that this was something that was created inside of the moment, that the decision to kill did not require adequate reflection, and that this would be a second-degree murder. So
Ole, 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 ole. Erin hack, 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 ole. Erin hack, 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 ole. Let's go, Erin hack, 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 ole. Erin hack, 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 ole. Josie and Murph, they aren't as lovely. Fuck around and find out I'm joking, they're lovely.
we have I don't believe that the felony murder
Hi,
should be considered,
Josie.
because I don't believe that the kidnapping is sufficient to reach that. And there's been no evidence that the kidnapping was a continuous crime. Again, we have proof of her injuries showing that there was some kind of fight. We have proof of Mr. Griffith's injuries showing that there was some kind of fight. We don't have any proof that Mr. Griffith made a previous decision to kill in this moment, that this was orchestrated in any way by him. In fact, we have the opposite. We have Miss Griffith showing up at that house without permission to do so, being angry as soon as she gets there and never cooling off, according to the witnesses. At the time that she gets into his face, Mr. Griffith acts. From that moment forward, they go inside the house and it's unclear what happened. We have no evidence. We have no forensic evidence that showed what happened inside of that house to show that this was something that was planned, that this was something that was thought out, and that this matched any kind of a decision that Mr. Griffith had made. If anything, it is more likely that this fight escalated once the parties got back inside. This fight escalated, that there was at some point, someone gets a knife and then Miss Griffith ends up dead. And to me, that is the realm of a second-degree murder. That is a standard fight that goes too far, and that is what the jury should be considering. They have not had any proof, again, that would rise to the level of premeditation. They have not had any proof in this crime that anything else would enhance this crime to a first-degree murder. This is a second-degree murder and a battery that happened beforehand. And it is arguably self-defense on either issue, but again, I will concede that by raising self-defense, we have created a circumstance where the jury has to make a finding of fact. So I'm not arguing that this entire incident can't be considered by them. I'm just arguing that it should not be a kidnapping and it should not be under the felony murder statute, and it should only be a second-degree murder.
Your Honor, as it pertains to the kidnapping, from two independent witnesses, we saw and we heard that the defendant grabbed Kathy by the hair. He did that forcefully. And what did he do? He dragged her / pulled her in against her will as she was protesting and yelling loud enough so that one of the witnesses could specifically hear from inside, looking out the window, stop, Collin, you're hurting me. At which point the defender dragged her / pulled her into the house, which was clearly forcibly, which was clearly against her will. And then once he had her inside, of course, he confined and/or abducted her from outside into inside and/or imprisoned her. The last place that she would want to be would be inside after being yanked inside by the hair by her son, who has told multiple people, obviously, his intention to kill her, when he's furious, when she had just sent him the text message regarding the other person that he murdered by shooting that person in the chest and then in the head. And when she threatened to come forward and tell the officials in Oklahoma and elsewhere about the defendant confessing that it in fact was a murder, that it was not self-defense, and that he had planned it, the defendant's anger level was through the roof. So once he gets her inside, he has no prying eyes, he has no witnesses, and he can inflict anything and everything he wants to on his mom. So once she gets yanked from outside to inside, and mind you, he had her by the hair, which there's no way she could get loose from that. So as he yanks her inside, once that door closes, that was clearly the beginning of the end for her. Now he's all alone with her, with no witnesses and nobody that could help her. And his intent was to inflict bodily harm upon his mom, or to terrorize her, and or to commit or facilitate the commission of the murder. Judge, once the defendant gets her inside, there's not going to be an hour and 15 minutes of these two people talking and having a rational conversation. It was an absolute powder keg that went off immediately. So the defendant, as we come now to the first degree murder, you can see the pathway by which the defendant pulled her by her hair, dominated her physically. He's 6'2", outweighs her by, who knows, maybe 30 pounds or so. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's younger. He had to go to the butcher block, take out the knife of his choosing, continuing on with the premeditation, and then stab her, not just any place, not just cut her, but stab her in one of the most vulnerable parts in the human body, which was right in the neck. And as we heard from Robert Llandysul, the defendant accomplished exactly what he wanted to do for so long, which was to stab her / slit her throat, watch her bleed, and watch the life drain from her, which is exactly what he was able to accomplish with premeditation. So, Judge, I would rely upon the facts of the evidence and the whole record, and ask that you deny the defense's motion and allow the jury to consider both the kidnapping charge as well as the first-degree murder charge as we go forward, Your Honor.
Your Honor, as to some of the arguments just made, first off, there's been no evidence of anger in the moment on the part of Mr. Griffith. We have the evidence from the neighbor that he was calm, that Kathy was irate, that she was flailing around, and that he reached out, but that his demeanor did not rise. Like, he didn't start, there was no evidence of rage or anything like that. So I know the state keeps using those words. That's an argument on their part, but that is not the fact that has been shown in this case. As far as the decision to choose a knife, again, that's not a fact in evidence. As far as the decision to dominate her physically, well, we have evidence of bruising. So I guess I would concede that there was a physical altercation, and it looks like Miss Griffith bore the worst of that. But I don't know that dominate physically is something that has been testified to in any way. Again, it's being argued by the state attorney. The size of Mr. Griffith that keeps coming in from the state's words, that he's 6'2", that he's some weight, we have that. We don't have any fact on Mr. Griffith's size. I mean, the jury has observations. They can see me standing next to him, and they can tell that he's much smaller than me. And I'll tell you, I'm not 6'2". So I don't think that comes into play in a decision to, decide whether or not this was a premeditated murder. And as far as the kidnapping, again, the only evidence we have of Kathy's intent is when she shows up mad, when she's throwing things in his car. We have her intent. Yeah. And she had already gone into that house. I mean, she goes in, she comes out with stuff. That stuff was not sitting inside. So we have her not wanting to be pulled by the hair. But again, we don't have any proof that she was pulled by the hair. We have the autopsy of her body. We do not have a single shred of evidence that she was harmed in any way by a grasp to her hair. There's no bruising of her scalp. There's nothing like that has been shown. So she said, "You're hurting me," loudly enough to be heard. That's a battery. She did not say, "No, don't take me in there. I don't want to go in there. Stop." She was not dragged. I asked the witnesses specifically if her feet were going up the stairs, and they said yes, that she was moving her own legs, that she went into that house. So I understand the state's argument that they are making, but it is argument. They are not using the facts that have been shown. And the fact is that this is not a kidnapping. This is a misdemeanor battery, and then a fight that happened inside, and that fight led to a death.
the evidence in the light most favorable to the state, as I must, hearing on a motion for judgment of acquittal, I do find that the state has made a prima facie case as to each element of each offense, and the motion is denied. Is there anything else we need to discuss before we bring the jury?
Judge, when do you usually do a jury instruction conference?
After everyone rests?
Okay.
Was there something in particular you
No.
wanted to address now?
No.
Are we ready for the jury?
I believe so.
I don't know. I think kidnapping is a bit of a stretch for me. Personally, I think he's right. Battery, maybe, if proven, but kidnapping. She went, like Robin G, she went there herself. So I just, I don't like, I don't get a kidnapping charge. First degree murder, premeditated. I don't. Well, he did murder her. I believe that. It's just whether it's premeditated or not.
All right, please.
I suppose so. Is it first degree or second degree? That's the only answer. Question. Sorry, no answer. Question. Pull out a tape measure. This guy looks like Adam Devine. Well, go tape measure. Huck. Aaron Huck. Right, jury are in, state arrested, defense is starting.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a restful weekend. And thank you again for your service in this case. Mr. Levine,
Your Honor, the state rests.
the state having rested its case, what says the defense?
The defense calls Susan Detman to the stand.
This way, man.
Sorry.
Step right here, raise your right hand, keep one by the
The answer are correct, so the testimony given in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
This way.
What's going on?
Ms. Detman, will you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell both your first and last name?
Susan Jetman. Susan is S-U-S-A-N, and Jetman is G-E-T-H-M-A-N.
Ms. Detman, how are you related to Collin Griffith?
I'm his maternal grandmother.
So your daughter was Kathy
Yes, ma'am.
Griffith, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So give the jury a little bit of an idea of who the other members of your family are. Who was Kathy's father?
Robert Willantis.
Were you married at some point to Robert Willantis?
Yes, we were married for 19 years.
When did you divorce?
We divorced in 1998.
After you divorced Robert Willantis, did you get remarried?
Yes, I did.
Who did you get remarried to?
Inaki Markovich.
And might need to spell that last name for the court reporter.
Markevich.
Ms. Detman, who are your children from your marriage to Robert Willantis?
John Paul Willantis, Kathy Willantis Griffith, and Christy Willantis Rooney.
Did you list them in ascending order of age, youngest to oldest?
I've been youngest to oldest.
Okay. Do you have another child?
Yes, I do.
Who is that?
Kevin Markovich.
And that's from your marriage to Mr. Markovich?
Yes.
Now, Kathy, obviously Collin was Kathy's son. Did she have any other children?
Yes, she had an older son, he's still alive, Christopher Ray Griffith.
How old is he?
He is 24.
I want to ask you a few questions about Robert Llandysul, your ex-husband. When you divorced in 1998, who got custody of your 3 children with him?
I did.
And since 1998, has Robert Llandysul been a big part of your life?
No, except for the custody battles we went through.
What about, are you aware of his relationship with any of the 3 children that you had with him?
He didn't have a relationship once he was not granted custody of John Paul. He didn't want Kathy, considered Kathy to be damaged goods. He only sued for John Paul.
Okay, but what was his relationship like with his children after the divorce?
He didn't have a relationship at all until Kathy divorced and she reached out to her dad.
When did Kathy divorce her husband and the father of Collin and Christopher?
2019, if I remember correctly. It was like December of 2019 when they filed. And I think it took a couple months for the divorce to actually take place.
Okay. Now, we saw pictures of Robert Llandysul on a trip with Kathy.
Yes.
Tell the jury about that trip, what you know about it.
So Kathy wanted to meet the biological Robert's mother, the biological grandmother, because Kathy had many medical problems. So she asked me, she said, Dad said he'll take me to California to meet his mom. They lived in Anaheim. The mom lived in Anaheim, California, but you'll have to pay for it. And I said, okay. I said, just please try not to do anything too expensive. And I'll see what points I can use for the hotels. And fly over there. You guys don't need to rent a car. You can use your dad's car if it can make it to California. If not, then we'll get a rental car.
So, Ms. Detman, did you in fact pay for Kathy to go on this trip with Robert Llandysul?
Yes. I paid for all the food, all the hotels, Disneyland, all of that.
And when was that trip?
That was before she got Collin back.
So before 2023?
Yes.
After 2019, though?
And after COVID was over with.
Okay.
So I believe it was 2022.
Are you aware of any other trips like that that Robert took with his other 2 children?
No, he didn't really have communication with them.
All right. So I want to ask about Kathy's funeral or celebration of life. Did the family hold such a thing for Kathy?
Yes, we had a celebration of life right here at the funeral home in Lakeland.
Was she actually buried or was she cremated?
No, she was cremated. She had conveyed to me as well as to her sister and brothers that she never wanted to be put in the ground. She wanted to be cremated and later taken back to the ocean in Key Largo and her ashes be put at the Jesus statue that we have under the water in Key Largo.
Has that been done?
No, we're going to do that this summer.
Where are Kathy's ashes right now?
Right now, they're at Christie's house.
Was Robert Llandysul invited to the celebration of life?
No, he was not.
Why not?
Robert tends to be very disruptive. He has difficulty with truthful manners. And we just did not want to have more lies and disruption. The final time that we could say goodbye to Kathy.
I'm going to ask you some questions now that may also be difficult. In the last roughly 2 months before Kathy died, what personal medical things were you going through?
So in the last part of June, I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. I had to have part of my colon removed and an ostomy put in place.
After you were diagnosed and had your surgery, did you have a fight with Kathy over Robert Llandysul?
Yes, I did. Kathy was very adamant that she wanted Robert to take care of me, that I needed to pay for his flight from New Mexico to Lakeland, get a hotel for him for 2 weeks, and get some sort of a car, and even pay for his food. And I told Kathy, I said, that's ridiculous. He hates me. I don't want to be hurt by him. Plus, has lost his nursing license. I want a real nurse that has.
Hang on.
Okay, hold on.
I'm going to just object to all of this collateral accusations. Sustained.
Ms. Chapman, as a result of you not wanting to follow Kathy's wishes as far as Robert Llandysul coming here and taking care of you, did that cause a break in communication between you and Kathy?
Yes, she refused to talk to me. She blocked my phone. She told me if I came over to the house, she would have me arrested for trespassing. She said, you can contact Collin, but you can't contact me.
And that, okay, I'll move on from this. Mr. Llandysul on the stand mentioned that Kathy got Collin a second phone, and that must have been what Collin used to talk with Mr. Llandysul on the phone every week or every other week. Tell the jury what you know about a second phone.
The second phone, I purchased a second phone when Collin came to live with me in the January, February time period, the first time she threw him out. And I couldn't leave a kid in the double wide by himself without a phone. Plus, since I didn't live.
Hold on. Why didn't Collin have a phone with him when he went to live with you in January of 2024?
Because Collin and I were at the Mexican restaurant in Port Charlotte. Kathy and Collin and I were supposed to go. When I got there, Kathy said, no, I don't want to go. And I said, come on, at least have some nachos or something. No, I don't want to go. And I said, can I take Collin with me? Sure. So while we were at the Mexican restaurant, she called me and she said, don't bring Collin back. I never want to see you or Collin again.
And the phone that Collin had at that point, where was it?
It was at Kathy's house.
Okay, so you brought Collin to
the double wide in Arvindale, and I didn't even have internet because, of course, I wasn't there all the time. So if I needed to, I'd hotspot my computer. I didn't want an extra expense for internet or cable or any of that. And so I realized I couldn't leave Collin here without a phone. So I told him, I said, we're going to have to go to AT&T and get a phone for you. And I even got a 786 area code because that's the area code that I have in the Keys.
And that second phone, did Collin have possession of it from January of 2024 all the way up until September of 2024?
No. He only had possession of it for that small amount of time from when he came to, which would have been, it was either the end of January, the beginning of February. he had possession of it there, and then when he left, he took it, and I immediately got it. I shot leave it.
Okay, I'm actually going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit number 16 and see if you recognize it. Look at that and see if you recognize those messages from January 2020.
Well,
What, do you recognize those?
according to this. Okay.
Don't read
No.
it. Do you recognize those messages in
No.
between you and Kathy?
No.
Okay. Do you remember there being a period in January of 2024 where Kathy, where Collin was with you for several weeks and Kathy didn't remember that he had gone with you?
Yes.
And do you know what was going on with Kathy at that time?
She was suicidal, taking pills. She just didn't want to have her life. She was drinking
Okay.
excessively. She drank Everclear as her alcohol of choice.
Okay, Ms. Stepman, just answer the questions, okay?
Yes.
You mentioned that she was suicidal in January. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 15. See if you recognize the subject matter of those texts.
Yes.
Judge would like to admit Defense Exhibit number 15 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, Judge.
And received.
Ms. Stepman, Defense Exhibit 16 is dated February 5th of 2024, and the blue text at the top was Kathy's number 941-258-0963,
Yes.
and were you the number below that?
Yes, ma'am.
And you mentioned a 786 number, but you had two phones, correct?
Yes.
Why did you have two phones?
I used one for work and one for personal.
So the blue message on top talks about Kathy just having been released from the ER for an accidental overdose. Was that one of the times that she had had a suicide attempt?
Yes.
So the phone that you bought for Colin in either January or February of 2024, and I'm sorry if you already answered this, but he didn't keep that after the brief period that he lived with you then, did he?
He went home with it and I had it back on the weekend.
Okay, so shortly after he went back home to Kathy.
Yes.
So Kathy, it sounds like off and on had estrangement from various family members.
Yes.
You mentioned that you and she didn't speak for quite some time after your cancer diagnosis. Had she cut other members of the family off at other times in her life?
Her and John Paul were not speaking.
Do you know why?
Yes. She got mad at his wife because the house wasn't clean to her standard. And she said, I'm going to call DHS, which in our state is Child Protective Services, that Isabella was not taken care of, that she was in danger, something. I know DHS ended coming up to John Llandysul's house. Of course, the investigation proved that there wasn't a problem. And John just said, I will never have anything to do with her again. She crossed the line.
Any other family estrangements from Kathy besides you and her brother John?
So Kevin and Kathy were supposed to go to Washington, D.C. together.
Kevin is your son with
Yes, and Kevin
Inaki.
and Kathy were pretty close. They were supposed to go to Washington, D.C. together because Kevin was in officer basic training in Virginia for the Florida National Guard. He just graduated from college, and he had time off during the 4th of July. And Kathy said, it'd be great if Colin and I could meet up with Jean Paul in Washington, D.C.
Do you mean Kevin or?
Kevin, I'm sorry, Kevin would meet up. I was supposed to go because, of course, my cancer, I
Okay.
couldn't.
Miss Valentis, I'm sorry. I know you're nervous, but the estrangement,
Yes.
how that
So what
occurred.
happened is Kathy contacted Kevin and said, unless you help me get your father arrested, meaning Inaki Markovich, I don't want you coming to Washington, D.C. with me.
Do you know what Kathy was referring to as far as helping her get your husband arrested?
Yes, they had an altercation in our farm in Arcadia during COVID. So it was during 2020, around Easter time. It was before Easter. She threatened him with a baseball bat. And she said she was going to get her gun and shoot him. And my husband brought a shotgun out and said, I have a shotgun here. We're not going to be doing this. And later she said that he used the shotgun, fired the shotgun. And I said, it was a double wide. I think I would know if a shotgun had been fired in the ceiling in a double wide.
Okay. So after that interaction between Kathy and Kevin, were they estranged from each other for a while? But it sounds like she would kind of change her mind about who she was close with or wanted to have communication with. Is that?
Yes, because she called Kevin the next day and said, I'm sorry, come on to Washington, D.C. with us. And Kevin said, I already told my cadre, my leave's been canceled.
Okay. are you aware of threats that Kathy had made to commit suicide?
Yes.
How many are you aware of, if
I'm
you know?
aware of 5.
Okay.
No, 6.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 14. See if you recognize this.
Yes, I do.
I'd like to admit Defense Exhibit 14 into evidence, please.
Objection
No objection, Judge.
will be received.
What is this exhibit?
I wasn't sure if Kathy showed that to me. I wasn't sure if it was blood or a magic marker because I didn't see it physically. She said that it had something to do with a song she was listening to. She was upset because of the divorce.
And you can't quite see it now, but did you see a video of, so you can see the triangle for play. Had you seen the actual video of this?
Yes.
In it, can you see what's written on the left side of Kathy's arm? I mean, you can't see it right now, but do you remember what it said?
I don't remember what it said because it was just so horrific that that she was doing this to herself.
I'm coming up here, so don't forget to give it to the clerk.
Have you actually called law enforcement on occasion when Kathy made suicidal statements to you?
Yes.
All right, so you said you know of about 6 threats. What about actual attempts by Kathy to kill herself? Or was that the 6 and I misunderstood?
Those were the 6 attempts.
Okay. Can you describe some of those for the jury?
Yes. So the first one was, well, she was still married and she was very upset and she had overdosed on her trazodone. And she told me, I was in Key Largo and she lived in Key Largo at the time. And I said, I'm gonna have to take you in right now to emergency room. You're gonna die. And she said, no, I'm not going in.
Ms. Detman, it's okay. You don't have to give all of those
Oh, I'm
details.
sorry.
That's all right. I understand. So that was one attempt. What about other attempts that you're aware of?
So the second attempt was when she was in Port Charlotte. I had to go over the fence and open the sliding glass door. And she was in her bed, all dressed in black, and with a revolver in her hand.
And had she done anything with any medications that
Yes, she
time?
had overdosed on the oxycodone.
Did she end up going to the hospital that time?
Yes.
Any other attempts that you remember?
Yes, yes. There was another attempt with oxycodone again, about 4 months later. Then there was an attempt with medication and Everclear. The second attempt, she went back to the emergency room and was admitted vapoactive. The third time, when I called Port Charlotte Police, they got there and said, she appears fine to me. If she wants to drink in her own house, that there's nothing we can do. And then the most recent time was just in August of this year, August 21st. She called me and said she had overdosed on metoprolol, her heart and blood pressure medication, because the other ones didn't work. So she said, I did that. And I said, have Collin take you to the ER. No, I don't want to go. Have Collin take you. Finally, I talked Collin into taking her to the emergency room.
So, to your knowledge, Collin was home when she overdosed and actually had to drive her to the
Yes.
emergency room
Yes.
in August of 2024.
Yes.
You mentioned that Kathy had been Baker acted. Was that more than one time?
Yes.
The jury has heard a lot about some things that Kathy claimed that were maybe not true. How would you describe Kathy's reliability or her reputation for truthfulness?
Objection, Your Honor.
Judge, can we go sidebar?
Sorry, I was just going to coffee. A little sidebar now, are they? Hi, David. Is this where Josie always is? Yes, Josie's always here. Now, if you don't behave, David, this is what's going to happen to you.
Josie and Earth Turf, they aren't as lovely. Fuck around and find out I'm joking, they're lovely.
There you go. Everyone's been pre-warned. Sidebar. Gary, you'll appreciate this. I got a Rocky. They're tiny. These Rocky bars now are tiny. Unbelievable. I'm waiting for delivery as well. My mother's bought a new iPad. Oh, so I've got to try and get that and upload it all for her. Lady Di, state of rested. Marky, how are you, sir? So the state of rested, and now this is the defense case. This is the first witness. This is the grandmother. I'm not really sure if she's doing any good for the defense, though. So, interestingly, the charges so far we know was first-degree murder and kidnapping. Lady Di, trust me, please don't rewind. Trust me, don't rewind. You will regret it. State rested, as in no other witnesses. This is the first witness of the day. They had a hearing to dismiss the charges. I'm not sure if they've proven kidnapping, if I'm being honest with you. And the other one is first degree. Now, it's going to be interesting for jury instructions whether the state have just gone with first degree murder, or will they hedge the bets and put second degree in and manslaughter and all that? I don't know. So that was a good question by Robin earlier on. I don't know, Robin. I won't know officially until probably jury instructions to see what both sides want to put in. Because some people might not think it's first degree murder because of premeditation. Was it premeditated or not? You could argue both sides, I think. But yeah. Like, in fairness, she's got a tough job. She's the grandmother, and she's got to basically say all these things about her daughter. All these negative things about her daughter. No worries, Deb. It's tough. It's tough. I think somebody told her that she has to go on the yellow bus with Erin Hack, and she says, "Oh no, not again. I came on that bus. I don't want to go home on that bus as well."
Erin Hack, she drives a bus, yellow bus, yellow bus. Erin Hack, she drives a bus all day long.
Right, before I forget, hang on, I can do this now. Hello, Lefty, how are you, sir? Let me do this then. Once I got the chance here, once it's quiet. Where's it gone? Oh. They gone. Thank you to the amazing, the lovable, the great guy, Dana Leonard. What a legend he is. He is the best guy you could ever ask for. He's amazing. I can't do it, Dana. I can't be nice to you. I can't be nice to you, Dana. I'm sorry. Dana's useless. We all love Tracy more than Dana. And yeah, so here we go. Dana, thank you for the coffee, my friend. I appreciate you, my brother. There you go. All right, they're back from sidebar now. So I'm rusty as hell to get this back up. Here you go.
Ms. Detman, I'm going to go through some individual things and ask you about them, okay? First, I'm going to approach with defense exhibit number 17.
Hi, Dennis.
Marked. Just read it and see if you recognize it as being a text from Kathy to you.
Do you
Yes, I do.
I'd ask that defense exhibit number 17 be admitted into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, Judge.
It is received.
In this text from June 27th of 2024, Kathy says that she was here and pressing charges, going to 77 Hewlett Drive. That's your address, correct?
That was the address in Auburndale.
To check on you and to pick up Inaki for charges of attempted murder and assault against you. Meaning she's claiming that Inaki actually tried to murder you, correct?
Yes.
Is that true?
No, he's never tried to murder me.
So that's something that Kathy threatened and claimed that just simply wasn't true, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Has she done that on other occasions, make things up?
Yes. Yes. She made up that I was diagnosed with Lynch disease, which is it's an auto-recessive disorder where people have to have, they're more prone to cancer. So she said that her insurance company was forcing her to have a hysterectomy because of that. She also told Christy, and Christy was so distraught.
Okay, Ms. Stepman,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry. No, it's okay. I understand. So she made up that you had a disease that you do not in fact have.
No, I verified with my oncologist that I didn't have.
She also made up that John Paul Llandysul had been neglecting his child, right?
Yes.
Has she ever made anything up about Robert Llandysul?
Yes.
What did she make up about Robert Llandysul?
When she was younger, she said that Robert raped her.
And how do you know that that's not true?
It went to court, so I don't know. I only.
Did she ever tell you that she had made it up?
Oh, yes. Later, as an adult, she told me she had made that up.
Did she say why she made it up?
Yes, because she was mad at the situation between Robert and I.
Okay. Has she ever made anything up about her being responsible for everybody else's successes in the family?
Yes, she went as far to say that no one in the family would have any of their degrees, and that she, in fact, the only reason that I got my doctorate was because of her.
Okay. And did she actually make a threat to you regarding this
Yes,
belief she
did.
had?
She said she was going to, when she was mad at me one time, she said she was going to contact the university where I work at, and I said, go right ahead. No, I had to.
What did she tell you she was going to
She said
say
she's
to
going
them?
to call the university, my dean, and tell him that she did all of my coursework and that I didn't do anything and that I was a phony.
Did she make up at any time that you're aware of that Collin was failing school?
Yes, she said that he had been failing school and that when he was staying at my house, that it was my fault because I wasn't observing him on the computer to make sure he was doing his work.
Was Collin ever failing to your knowledge?
No,
When did Collin graduate from high school?
he graduated last June.
Was that actually ahead of schedule?
Yes, that was a year ahead of schedule.
And did he, in addition to graduating early, did he ever, did he get college credit?
Yes,
At the
he
same
was
time.
duly enrolled in college.
You mentioned earlier
that you had paid for some trips, the trip for Kathy to go visit Robert Willantis and meet his mother. Did you pay for other trips for Kathy?
Yes, the cruises that they went on, I paid for.
And the other trips that the jury has seen pictures of Kathy and Collin, who paid for all of those trips?
I did.
Did you also have, you mentioned points and using points for things.
That's our DVC, our Disney Vacation Club, as well as I have points through Hilton Honors.
Have you ever witnessed Kathy not being able to control her temper?
Yes.
Can you describe some of those
Yes.
times?
She went at,
Your Honor, if we may approach for a moment. The headset that Mr. Griffith is using is on mute somehow. I can't figure out how to unmute it. It doesn't appear to have any buttons on it at all, but I may not just know how it works. It indicates that it's on mute. It has like a little.
Okay, sidebar, I believe. So yeah, this is going to be a very trying case. The next one we do, very trying. It's about a 15-month-old girl died by I believe it's her mother. But that's what we do here. We've got to honor and, celebrate the life of Evelyn. I believe her name, Evelyn. Right. So yeah. So if they should put a jury today, if they do select a jury today, then they're not starting till tomorrow anyway, I believe. But if they don't select one today and it's tomorrow, then we might start Wednesday. That's our ideal scenario. It just means we'll zoom it. That's all. We'll zoom it for a couple of days if need be. On Thursday, I will be doing the hearing for Karen Reid. I suspect it won't be very long for Karen on Thursday. Now that there's no like DORBA hearings and stuff like that, it shouldn't be long at all. They're going to be discussing the payment for the defense expert, and I think there's one other thing they're discussing as well. So Thursday will be quick. And if it's Tennessee time, that means Tennessee's in Central Time, which means that possibly the Karen Reid hearing will be done by the time this trial starts. If it starts like 10 o'clock or something, I don't know what time the trial's going to start. It's very sad. I'll try and either probably tomorrow, because if they're resting today, then there's closing's going to be tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to try and okay. I'll try and fit something in. Yeah, they said about good few weeks. They said, so we'll see. Jury might be selected. They're confident that they will select one today, but you never know.
All right, members of the jury, I'm going to ask that you step into the jury room for just a few moments while I discuss a matter with the lawyers.
Break, Judge.
We'll be with you soon.
All rise, please.
4 forms of asphyxiation. Wow. When I saw it, I knew I had to cover it because. What are you having, Gary? What meat are you having? When I saw it, I had to do it because we know Evelyn, 15 months old, have her in our heart. Rest in peace, Evelyn. Pork chop. Do you know what? One thing I don't like. I don't like pork chops. My father adores pork chops, but I'm not a fan. The only one I'm not.
Exactly.
Now you're hungry. What, you haven't had them cooked right into? Lady Di, I since I was young, so like I'm from a farming background, so we used to eat so much pork and lamb and beef. Like we'd buy a whole pig and have it cut up, all of it. You'd have it. I just got sick of it. I just got sick of the pork element of it. Still like lamb, still like beef, just pork. And also with pork, you can still get hairs on it, pork chops and stuff. And I eat bacon and sausages, but I don't eat pork chops. Or very rarely would I eat a roast pork dinner type thing. I may do it a little bit, but pork chop, no. It's at Eastern time, is it? Oh, okay. It's similar to the other one that we did then. That's weird. Yeah, I didn't have a choice. That's the only meat that's turned. The other one that I had once was pigeon. I didn't like it. These raw meat, no bones or hairs.
There's two separate things here, specific instances and reputation. Specific instances would need to be known to the defendant as far as I read the instructions. As for reputation, there are two instructions, one when the reputation is known and one when it's not, but it's offered to prove that the alleged victim acted in conformity with that reputation, which is, I need you to talk me through how you're doing that, or are you not using that?
No, I think it is relevant because the defense is that Kathy grabbed the knife in the house in Auburndale, and that fits with past instances where she pulled a gun on Collin, where she attacked Inaki with a baseball bat and said she was going to get a gun, where she pinned her then husband against the house with a car, that she stabbed her husband and burned him, and those were in front of Collin, and she has independent knowledge of those too. So those are the specific instances.
Judge, I have nothing further to elaborate on besides my objection in the hallway, and I object to anything that will be contrary to what Your Honor just read in the jury instructions, Your Honor. It might be it might be a question by question journey to see what, if anything, is admissible or relevant based upon the application of the question asked by Ms. Thornhill, the jury instruction differentiating between, as Your Honor pointed out, the reputation or things that the defendant has to have been present for, have personal knowledge of, and Ms. Detman, depending on how narrow, or maybe I should say how wide her answers are going to be.
As far as her reputation, it's my understanding that her reputation within the family was for being dangerous and violent, and people were scared of what she might do at any given moment. So I was going to ask about both.
While I understand the community for purposes of this type of reputation evidence may be narrower, you're still going to need to lay that predicate.
Sure.
This is a family of estrangement, after all, it seems, so.
Because of her violence.
Well,
yeah.
But I don't know who's estranged from who else, so.
Well, and it,
You know, she needs to understand and know that family community.
Okay.
So,
and even if somebody's not still a part of that community on this particular day, I mean, they don't.
I'm not suggesting it has to be at some particular instant in time, but I haven't heard a lot about her closeness with others who may share that in that reputation, or have knowledge of that reputation.
Okay. I will do my best. Is
And
this
we'll
our-
just take it question by question, as Mr. Levine suggests.
Okay,
Do you want to go ahead and just take our mid-morning recess?
that's what I was gonna ask, if I could run faster.
Mr. Levine?
Yeah, that's fine, Judge.
All right, we'll take 10 minutes.
A lot of times he needs like a
Right, we're back. Sorry. Try to keep an eye out for parcels and stuff. Good. Why is this good? Yeah, so we'll see what happens here then. I don't know. Let's see Dennis's junk. So yeah, so this week we'll see what happens. We'll do the Evelyn trial then with her mother. Then whatever happens on Thursday, I will be streaming the Karen Reid trial, and we will be keeping an eye out for updates from the Sweeneys and possibly Dana if he goes for Peter Murphy. Peter Murphy is in court on Thursday, I believe, for trespassing, which is ridiculous. The legend of Peter Murphy being treated like crap. Unbelievable. So yeah, that's the plan this week. We will have a stream every day. We might have to play around a little bit with the schedule depending on when this finishes and when the Tennessee trial begins. So the Tennessee trial is going to be similar to the Forest one in the sense of it's in Tennessee, Georgia, whatever, but it's in Eastern time zone, which is, yeah, don't ask, we'll just go with it. Poor Peter Murphy, absolutely poor Peter Murphy, absolutely. Peter Murphy, one of, in my opinion, one of the heroes of the movement, being treated like absolute crap by his own people. It's a travesty. He's good people as well, Peter. So we will wish him nothing but luck, and hopefully, similar to Whitey, his charges will be dismissed, hopefully. The nonsensical charges. The amount of money that these guys waste on fake charges. I mean, if they didn't waste so much money in bringing people like Peter Murphy and Whitey to court, maybe they could afford better, like, cups, and maybe they can afford their own cups, red Solo cups. They don't have to borrow any, or they might be able to buy a new camera, or they might be able to buy systems where videos aren't inverted anymore and stuff. So concentrate on that maybe instead of bringing good people down. And not everybody's good people, don't get me wrong, but certainly Whitey and Peter Murphy are great people. Some of the best people you'll ever meet. Oh, darling. They were teaching them a lesson, don't speak out. Tough, Peter's not going to shut up. They should know that. Do you know what I mean? So the only thing you're doing is fueling more fire in people's bellies. Be like, because he's well respected within the area, by the movement, by everyone that matters. He's well respected. Hey Jude. So yeah, bear with me this week. It'll be up and down. These people have the guts and will not stop. Yes. The good people have. Yes. They'll stand up to people. The morning crew, the people I respect the most. They're good people. They're good people. They're in it for all the right reasons. So yeah, much love to all of them. Bow, 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 wow, 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 wow. So I presume they're taking a break because I've got to keep an eye out for this delivery. So I'm trying to keep an eye on it and everything else. Do you know what? The scary thing is, right? We have got, please like the stream, people. We have now got this trial. So potentially, right, let's have a look at this. Potentially, we've got this trial in Tennessee started this week, right? Which say takes 3 weeks. Say starts tomorrow, 1, 2. That'll take us till February 25th, 26th, pretty much the end of February. Then we got 4 weeks. And the 5th week, Karen's trial. I mean, Karen's trial begins, but it doesn't really begin because it's jury selection. So jury selection will, I imagine, take at least a week, if not more, for Karen. I don't suspect Karen's trial will start much before, at the earliest, probably the 7th of April. At the earliest. They're going to probably go through thousands of jury. Fuck. So yeah, we've got the Tennessee trial. We're going to need to have at least one.
It's fine as long as.
Are y'all still discussing this stuff?
One, if not 2 more quick trials, and then probably 2 more trials after the Tennessee ones, and then we are on to Karen Reid. Bam. They estimate the Karen Reid trial will be about 4 weeks. I mean, that does not include jury instructions. Not jury instructions, jury selection, sorry. So you're looking at probably 5 to 6 weeks for a trial with jury selection and deliberations. Bow, bow, wow, 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 wow. There you go, 23 people here, 23 people like this. They listen to you, Gary. They listen to you, sir. Bow, 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 bow. Hey, hey, Jude, you make me mad. Right, okay, here we go. What else is going on then, people? I don't know what else. I try to think about my weekend. Certain things. What do I do? Oh, did you all watch my little vlog? My little vlog with my Boston updates. I'm going to try and do like a weekly one now, I think, with just some updates. Yeah, I have to stand out here. An off-duty cop yelled at me, "How do you know she's innocent?" I yelled back, "Because of the facts." Let's go, Deb. Let's go, Deb. We're not like corrupt like you bastards. You deserve them. Like, thank you, Gary. Thank you, Beeston. Gary Beeston. So yeah, hopefully I'll do a vlog a week just on my build up to the Dublin trip, and then obviously to Boston. Do you know what? It's so fucking awkward though. Like, I'm in a field doing it, which is okay. I mean, going out in public with a camera, it's really hard. It's really hard to do. Thank you very much. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Katie. It's super hard in front of people. It's embarrassing. I'm not sure how I'm going to react in front of people. I think you've got to get the mindset of, but it's hard for me here. People would be like, locally, be like, "What the fuck's he doing?" Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. Yeah, I'll do a lot more scenery. What I'll do is I'll do some scenery and I might do a sit down talk, but I'll show you some scenery. I got the gym tomorrow. I'll say, fuck. So Wednesday, I might go for a walk Wednesday before I stream. Oops, and then that'll be a little bit of scenery for you guys. They're just discussing stuff. The reason I do it, twofold. One is the vlog is to get practice with it, to get used to it, and two is just to basically update people what's going on with the trips and stuff. So trying to do as a not always about trip vlog. I might talk about other stuff that's on my mind or whatever, but yeah, it's to showcase some stuff. I think it'll be a lot easier when I'm not in my own town, because as I say, I know too many people around here, and it's awkward going out with the camera. Like, they would be like, "What the fuck are you like? What the fuck are you doing?" Awkward. Whereas if you're somewhere that you don't know anybody, it's a little bit easier. Still cringe, but it's a little bit easier. Do you know what I mean? Katie says, "I'm not gonna lie, at first I was like, why is there no sidewalks there?" Then I realized you said you were just walking around your yard because you had your selfie stick. Yeah, I was. That's the field right behind my house. So I got fields everywhere. So I just jump in the field, and it's quite good because it's more challenging in the field because it's not as easy to walk, obviously. But yeah, my next route will be more on the road. It's a quiet road, so you'll get to see some scenery. Thanks, Deb. So yeah, and if I haven't been on that walk for ages, this trail. If there's a trail, there's pigs and stuff there, so we might get to see pigs. Mine's be Scotland countryside. It's very similar. I think Wales is more countryside than Scotland, but it's quite similar. Yes, in certain parts, you're right. You're right. Depends where in Scotland, obviously, but yeah, you're right. Just say you read the script for a company film. Imagine. Nah, everyone knows what I'm up to. Well, not everybody, but lots of people knows what I'm up to. But hey, Viv, I had a fall the other. Oh no, sorry. Oh, I know one of those. Yeah, that's not nice, is it? You need to look after yourself, Viv. You get enough pillows around you, and it's hard when you cough and stuff, isn't it? Get enough pillows, prop yourself, and look after yourself, darling. Thanks to Robin G for the update about Amy as well over the weekend. It seems everyone's well with her breast cancer operation. So, much love sent to Amy. love as well to Sarah P, whose father is awaiting tests for cancer as well. So a beach. Yeah, it is. Yeah, movement. I've not done much walking today. I was, but I haven't done much today at all. I planned to, but I didn't. I got a gym tomorrow though. So. Happy days, Robin. Robin G, riding through the glen.
President of Lawyers, State Council.
Robin G, riding over men.
Yes, sir.
Woo-hoo! Oh, they come back. They just wait for the jury then, probably. Oopsie daisy, oopsie daisy. I hope. I don't know. This witness, I don't think this witness is hitting hard to the jury. I don't really. I get what they're trying to do, but I don't think it's working. And that's not the defendant's, the witness's fault. Because she's in a tough spot, doing a very tough spot. I feel for her. Thank you, Viv. Thank you, Medallion. I believe this guy, if he gets prison, he will get probation, I believe, because he's under 18. I think that is the case. Even though he's been tried as an adult, he still gets probation, I believe. It might be 40 years. It depends.
All rise, please.
All rise. I need to have any issues. Some Viagra. Hey, boom, boom. I love Luna. Luna's a big weirdo. Luna's a widow. She is a widow. Luna's a weirdo. Luna. Love Luna.
Ms. Detman, I'm going to ask you about some specific instances and may ask you to describe a little bit about them. So starting with, are you aware of Kathy having pinned her then husband to the wall of the house with her running car?
Yes, ma'am, I know.
Okay. And were you present for that?
No.
Have you ever, are you aware if Collin was aware of that incident?
Yes.
He was aware.
Yes.
What about an incident where Kathy stabbed her then husband with a corkscrew and then burned him with a terrarium light? Are you aware of that incident?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you aware that Collin was present for that incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware of Kathy threatening to kill her then ex-husband's girlfriend's family in Homestead?
Yes, I am.
Are you aware that she actually started driving toward their house to follow through on her plan?
Yes.
Did you actually speak with her on the phone then?
Yes. I was telling her that what she was doing was crazy. She was going to get in trouble, that she couldn't take it out on 3 innocent lives in Homestead. She needed to turn around and go back home.
Are you aware if Collin was aware of that incident?
I'm not aware.
The incident where you said Kathy attacked your husband with a baseball bat.
Yes,
Are you aware if Collin was aware of that incident?
I'm not aware of that.
And have you ever personally witnessed Kathy engage in a physical act of violence towards Collin?
I know that there was a fight at the house in Port Charlotte, and the fight started because she was beating him with a belt and making him do push-ups, sit-ups, push-ups, and then holding a weight above his head while he was running in place.
Okay. When you say that she beat him with a belt, were you actually there for
Yes,
that?
I was, and I tried to stop it.
Right. What about, are you aware that Kathy pulled a gun on Collin?
Yes, and then later she said that originally she denied it, then she said yes. She pulled out the gun and handed it to Collin and said, just kill me, shoot me.
So she actually admitted that to
Yes.
you.
Yes,
And obviously Collin was aware of that because he was the one who was present with her.
yes, and Corporal Rendas was aware of that also,
How was Corporal Rentis aware of this?
because he and I and Kathy were talking about that. There's a difference when you take a gun out and give it to somebody and say, here, kill me with this, versus somebody pulling a gun out and putting it to their head or to their chest.
And so Corporal Rentis was a part of this conversation where Kathy admitted she pulled a gun,
Yes.
and she said she handed it to Collin.
Yes.
Did she ever admit that she actually threatened to kill Collin with it?
No, she never did.
Within your family, you've talked about some of the family members. Despite some of the estrangements that Kathy had, would the family sort of maybe not talk to her for a while and then everybody would come back together, take trips together? I mean,
I was the constant in her life. My oldest daughter didn't talk with her while she was married.
okay, what I'm asking about is, did the family talk about Kathy with each other?
Yes,
And whether or not Kathy was estranged from anyone at any one particular moment, did the family continue to have discussions about Kathy?
yes,
And was there, did Kathy have a reputation within your family as being violent?
yes,
Did she have a reputation as being unpredictable
yes,
and volatile?
yes.
Despite all of this, did you still love Kathy?
Yes, very much, very much. I always wanted to help her.
It appears that Kathy at times wanted Collin with her at all costs, and then at other times wanted nothing to do with him.
Yes, when she had Collin back for about a month, she spoke with me and she said, Mom, I have to get up every morning at 6 o'clock, take him to school, and then I have to go back and pick him up. And I said, you don't have to, let him ride the bus.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 26 for identification.
number is that?
26. Will you read this and see if you recognize it as a text from Kathy?
Yes.
And ask that defense exhibit number 26 be admitted into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Be received.
In this particular text, it's Kathy saying she's done with this, and she can't take Collin to school anymore.
Yes.
So that was a specific example of what you just described to the jury.
Yes.
As part of this vacillating back and forth that Kathy seemed to have about whether she wanted to have Collin live with her or didn't want Collin to live with her, did you all agree eventually to a concurrent custody plan?
Yes, we did.
And that was something, did anybody force Kathy to sign those papers?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Were there times when Kathy wanted to cancel the 751 plan, the concurrent custody plan?
Yes.
And then would she change her mind back?
Yes.
Okay, so it's safe to say she wasn't consistent.
She was not consistent.
Obviously, Kathy owned a gun, right?
Yes.
So at some point, did Kathy give her gun to you to have it out of the home in Port Charlotte?
Yes.
Do you remember when that was?
Yes, it it's right after the incident where Officer Rentis and Lacey got involved when Collin came back to the home. So that must have been somewhere in the October timeframe of 2023.
Okay. How long did you have the gun at your home and away from Kathy and Collin's house in Port Charlotte?
Less than a week.
Okay, why did you have it for less than a week?
Because she demanded that I give it back. She said, "It's my gun, you can't have it." And I said, "But we discussed with Officer Rentis and Lacey that I would keep it." "No, it's my gun, you can't have it. And how do I know Nikki won't use it to kill you?"
Okay, so Kathy got the gun back, and
Yes.
so far as you know, she had it with her.
She had told me that she had given it to her next door neighbor, Melanie, for safekeeping. And then a couple months later, she said, "No, Mom, I lied to you. I've had it all along."
Okay. Finally, you had a lot of communication with Kathy on September 7th and September 8th,
Yes.
right? You also had communication with Collin during that time.
Yes.
Did you allow Collin to go to your house in Auburndale when Kathy kicked him out?
Yes.
And why did you allow that?
Because a child can't be just roaming around the street by himself, Collin told me he didn't have gas in his car. He had like half a tank, that was it. He didn't have his phone. He was using his computer somehow to talk with me. I told him, I said, you have to get to Arbondale before dark because otherwise the gates will be closed. During the day, the gates are open. And go in through the back sliding glass door because there's no lock on the back sliding glass door. And I will be there Sunday. Don't talk to anybody and don't leave the house.
At some point, obviously, Kathy, as the jury's heard on some videos, was trying to find out if Collin was actually at your house.
Yes.
When did she finally discover that he was at your house?
I let her know around 11 that night.
On the 7th, so
Yes.
Saturday the 7th.
Mhm.
And how did she react?
She said, you lied to me. And I said, I told you I didn't know if Collin was there. I said, because I don't want you going over there and grabbing him. You just threw him out. Give him some time, give you some time. Let's not have a huge problem associated with this.
And aside from conversations that the jury has heard between you and Kathy over the next hours, did you specifically tell Kathy not to go to your house in Auburndale?
Yes. I said, I will be going Sunday morning. I left first thing Sunday morning. I was going to leave right then, but I was so tired and I have difficulty seeing in the dark that I thought, no, it's better that I wait. In hindsight, I should have gone. But so I waited, I talked to her. She said, no, Mom, I'm going. And that's when she said, I sold the car. They're going to come by and pick it up. I said, you can't sell Collin's car. It's his car. No, I don't care. I'm selling it. I'm turning it into his probation officer for not, because he's not allowed to leave the county, which when I talked to the probation officer, I found out that Kathy had told them that I had terminal cancer. So therefore, Collin could come and visit me anytime I want. I had to tell the probation officer, well, right now I'm only at stage 3, so no, and I'm only in observation, so I'm not terminal.
Okay.
So,
But you personally told Kathy, do not go to Auburndale.
yes, I told her, I said, when I get back, I will give him gas money and I will follow him there, or we can wait until Monday morning. Let's just wait. Don't go there. You don't have permission to go.
Why did you not want her to go to your house in Auburndale?
Because I didn't want her to start a fight with Collin. I was afraid that she would be combative, maybe go after him with a baseball bat, a gun, something.
I don't have any other questions, I don't think.
Thank you.
I don't have any other questions, but Mr. Levine does.
Mr. Levine?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Stedman.
Good morning, sir.
Ms. Stedman, I know you're going through a lot with the loss of your daughter and cancer and everything else, but I'm going to need to ask you some questions if that's all right with you.
Yes, sir.
Now, today here in court in front of the jury, you've talked about that you were concerned that Kathy was going to attack your grandson, and then you listed a bunch of different weapons. But weren't you more concerned that your grandson, who had killed someone before and had been violent countless times with your daughter, weren't you concerned that he was the one that was going to attack your daughter?
No, he had not been violent countless times with Kathy. Kathy had been violent with him countless times.
Now, a lot of the things you said here today, you never bothered to tell me or law enforcement or anyone.
Objection, Judge, it's improper impeachment.
Sustained.
Ms. Detman, as it pertains to your grandson, do you talk to him a lot on the phone since he's been in jail?
Yes.
Okay. Do you do any emailing with him?
I don't email with him while he's in jail.
You-
No,
you
just
prefer
talking
to-
on the phone.
Talk with him? All right.
Yes.
And how many times a week would you say that you talk to your grandson on the
I
phone?
usually talk to him 3 times. I encourage him to pray. I ask him if he's eating. I mean, I'm a dietitian, that's what I do. That he's drinking his milk, that he's exercising in his cell, and most important, that he's reading books. And I keep telling him, you have got to pray. You've got to read your Bible.
Now, I mean, this is an obvious question, but you love your grandson, correct?
Yes,
Your daughter is dead, clearly,
yes,
and she's not coming back, correct?
no,
Now, would you agree that you don't want to see the defendant have to go to prison for a very long time? Is that correct?
I don't want to see my grandson go to prison for something he didn't do.
All right. Well, you couldn't make it any more crystal clear that you're up there and all your answers that you've given have been driven by you believing that the defendant, your grandson, didn't murder your daughter, correct?
I am giving clear answers, sir, as to what happened. I know my daughter. That's why I didn't want her coming that day to the house without me being there. I wanted her to wait the next day so that maybe she could calm down a little bit.
You know your grandson too, correct?
Yes,
And you know his history, correct?
yes.
Now, you say you know what happened, but you weren't there when it happened.
No, I'm not saying that I know what happened. I know the possibility of what could have happened. I wasn't there, so I have no way of knowing. I just know the facts about Kathy, having lived with her and worked with her, even to try to maintain her sanity, to try to maintain that she could keep her job as a teacher, to try to maintain that she wasn't trying to slice herself and kill herself,
Okay,
and
let's-
not coming after my husband with a gun.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about Kathy. Now, it sounded like she had some mental problems. Is that correct?
Yes,
Now, you would probably agree that it didn't help that she got impregnated when she was just a child, correct?
she was 13. She got impregnated when she ran away from the Hope House, and they found her in the hotel with her boyfriend. It didn't help that her father called her F bitches and that she was damaged goods, and he didn't want anything to do with her.
Ma'am, it sounds like you're really quick to try to throw dirt on your dead daughter. Would you agree with that?
No, not at all. My dead daughter did the best that she could. We have a problem in this country with addressing mental health. We all know that. And that's what she had. She had mental health issues. At times, she was the greatest person on the world. Very
I
intelligent.
appreciate that, ma'am. I appreciate that. Now, your daughter worked as a teacher for many, many years, correct?
Yes, she did.
And her students loved her, correct?
Yes, they did, for the most part. I mean, as with any teachers, you're going to have some students that, I mean, I'm an educator myself. You're going to have some students that don't. For the most part, yes.
And she cared about her students,
Yes,
correct?
she did.
She had a passion and a love for teaching.
Yes, she did.
And she taught, predominantly she taught English, correct?
Yes,
And she cared so much about her students that at a certain point, she let one of her students move in when she was married to her ex-husband, Chuck, correct?
yes,
And then unfortunately for your daughter, Chuck took advantage of this underage student, is what it's believed to have happened, correct? And
Judge, I'm going to object to the relevance of all this.
Approach.
Whoa. Where's he going with this? This, whatever you think, right, about this guy Collin, this family's fucked up, man. This family is not a normal family. So there's nothing that justifies, any of the, whatever. But it's like, wow, it doesn't seem like he had any hope, to be quite honest with you. I don't know. Yes, Viv, Gary. I don't know. 10th Judicial Circuit in Florida, Great Seal of the State of Florida. In God we trust. I don't know if the judge is going to let this in. I don't know what the relevance of this is, this line of questioning. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think that this witness was very damaging for the prosecution. So I think, in some ways, I wouldn't really open a box of doors. I mean, I think the judge know that, not judged, she really know that she doesn't want her grandson to go to prison. Who would? So she's going to be a bit more sympathetic. So I don't know. I wouldn't push too hard with this woman. I don't know what's going on. I got delivery coming, right? Scary part is that they keep driving away from my house, not towards it. They were very near my house, and now they're 7 stops away, but they're driving out of where I live. Why are they doing that? That's just... Well, that's stupid. But I hope Amazon doesn't fuck this up, but it's coming tomorrow or something instead. We'll see. I think they let in that he shot somebody. I don't think they let in that he shot the father. I don't think they said father, but he did shoot somebody. Somebody. Everybody out there is somebody to love. Unless I missed it. I can confirm, but unless I missed it, but I don't think they said the father. Oh. Bum, 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 ba, bum, bum. No worries at all, Eva Queen. It's all good. It's all good. I've been doing the same. This fucking delivery driver is going back on himself now. Where's he going now? I doubt it. I don't. Maybe, but I don't think so, because they've not alluded to the father at all. So.
Ms. Stedman, I'm sorry we have to talk about some unpleasant things, but it'll be over soon enough.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. So, do you recall my last question?
Yes. You were asking me why I was spilling dirt on my dead daughter, and I said I'm not. I said I supported her. I've gone into massive debt in trying to ensure that she had.
I appreciate that, but that was a few questions.
You're talking about how Kathy ran away from the Hope House and they found her in the.
No, I'm not talking about that either. But if you listen to my questions, it'll get easier. So. We were talking about your daughter, that she was a very committed teacher and very committed to the youth of her classroom. And I mentioned that at a certain point, She even allowed one of her students to move into the household, and it was believed that Chuck had an inappropriate relationship with this student. Are you aware of that? With a yes or no answer, if we can start at that place, I'd appreciate it. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And you were not a big fan of Chuck as it ended up being the divorce, correct? For how he treated her, from how he impregnated her as a child through the years, being physically, emotionally, and mentally abusive to your daughter. I can't imagine you were a fan of that, were you?
No, Robert was the one that was a fan of Chuck.
Now, ma'am, I understand that you hate your ex-husband.
I don't hate him.
Well, it sounds like you're throwing stuff about Robert in a lot.
You just asked me if I was a fan, and I wanted to tell you who in the family was. I knew Chuck from the
Your Honor.
time he was.
Ms. Tetman,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's the point.
Oh.
He gets to ask the
I'm
questions
sorry.
to elicit the information he's looking for. If additional information is needed, Ms. Thornhill or Mr. Hendry will make sure to address it. So just pay close attention to the question that's asked and try to answer just the question that's asked.
I apologize.
It's all right. Mr. Levine.
Appreciate it. Ms. Stetman, as it pertains to your last piece of information that you provided, as it pertains to your husband, he hated Chuck for what Chuck did to his daughter, that being impregnating a little girl, correct?
I'm not object to the relevance of and to speculation about what Robert thought about Chuck.
Sustained as to relevance.
All right, Ms. Stedman, if I ask you a question that for your information, just please answer it irrespective of your feelings about your ex-husband, all right? Now, at a certain point, Kathy got divorced from Chuck, correct?
Yes,
After years of unthinkable abuse, correct?
yes.
Now, let's move on to a different subject matter. When your grandson lived in Oklahoma with his dad for about 3 years or so, at the end of that, your grandson wanted to come live with Kathy and actually was able to, correct?
Yes,
And Kathy was very happy about that, correct?
yes,
And she felt that she had missed out, understandably so, on multiple years of her son's life, correct?
yes,
And she was trying to fix or make your grandson's life better.
she was trying to improve his lifestyle, yes.
Now, you described it as a fight in Port Charlotte where law enforcement came because you said your daughter was beating Collin with a belt and made him do sit-ups and push-ups. You remember that?
I did push-ups, and I took away the sit-ups. It was push-ups and putting the weights above his head and running in place.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Now, you remember talking to law enforcement when they came out there, correct?
Yes,
And giving a sworn statement because you just wanted both parties, your grandson and your daughter, you wanted everybody to be safe and healthy and happy, correct?
yes.
Now, Ms. Detman, as to the root of what the issue was that night, do you remember telling the deputy that the three of you were at the dining room table and Susan had Collin seated down and Kathy told Collin that she would be implementing new parenting rules and Collin would be having his Xbox, his cell phone, and other items taken away as disciplinary action due to him being disrespectful to her. Do you recall telling law enforcement that?
I remember telling law enforcement about the Xbox would be, I don't know if it was taken away, but it was going to be restricted.
And at that time, your grandson didn't want to hear from his mom, and so he stood up and threatened to fight her and said, let's just do it, correct?
That was after the incident with the exercising and belt, the beating of the belt. That's when Kathy wanted us to all sit down and eat sandwiches. Like it literally went from one extreme to another. Sit down and eat sandwiches. And then Collin got up from the table and said, let's just do it. And I went to go get my phone to contact Officer Rentis or Corporal Rentis or Officer Lacey.
Okay. All right. Very good. Now, you mentioned that you and your family members love to talk about how violent Kathy was. Is that right?
No, we didn't love to talk about how violent Kathy was. We talked about what we could do to help her. We didn't want her to lose her job. We didn't want her to be suicidal. And more than anything, we wanted her to try to get better.
Did you talk about how violent your grandson was?
No.
And why not? Weren't you concerned about that?
Objections.
Sustained.
Now, you were concerned about where the defendant would live, correct? In terms of who he might hurt, whether he lived with you and your husband, Nikki, or if he lived with Kathy.
My husband did not want Collin to live with us because he said that if Collin lived with us, Kathy would be over at the house and he didn't want to have to deal with Kathy.
Ma'am, didn't Nikki say he didn't want Kathy, he didn't want Collin to live with them because he was afraid that Collin might kill you or kill him?
No.
All right, now let's move on to the subject matter of kitchen knives or butcher knives. Do you tell the jury about the time when you noticed that there was a knife missing from your residence there in Auburndale, and you were trying to figure out who stole the knife or who took the knife?
Yes, there was a small knife with a blade like this that I bought at the dollar store, which is now like the $1.29 store, and it had a protective cover on it, and it wasn't in the drawer with the rest of the knives and silverware.
And did you find out eventually that your grandson had taken the knife?
Yes.
And he basically told you he just needed it just in case and did not elaborate on what he was going to do with it?
He said he just needed it.
Now, at that time also, Kathy made it explicitly clear to you that she was afraid that the defendant might hurt her, correct?
Not at that time, it was later.
And there was multiple times when Kathy let you know that she was afraid for your safety and for her own safety.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that a couple of things about the 7th and the 8th of September. You mentioned that Collin told you that he didn't have a phone with him on the 7th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Were you aware that he did have his cell phone with him and it was in his car?
So his cell phone had been turned off by his mother. She used to do that anytime she'd kick him out. She'd turn the cell phone off. In fact, it's in the records that she turned it off and she turned it on and she turned it off.
And you mentioned that the sliding door, that it had no lock on. Is that correct?
We had adapted the sliding door for a doggy door so Freddie could go in and out when he was staying in Auburndale, my acid house. And so we did not have a locking mechanism. You could close the door, but you couldn't lock it.
And so that's how you mentioned that your grandson was able to get into your house on the 7th?
Mm-hmm. Oh, plus the front door was, I don't believe in locks. I've been burglarized and the burglars got in quicker than I could find my lock. I don't lock things.
Okay. Now, your response when this was going on, when law enforcement made contact with you, was that you didn't know that Collin was a psychopathic killer, correct?
I never said that. Never.
If I may approach, please, Your Honor. And I'm going to show you page 59 of 67 of your statement on September 8th.
Let's see it before you approach.
I'm sorry?
I wanted you to see what he's
Thank you.
referring to before you approach.
And if you could just take your time and read the highlighted portion to yourself.
For one thing, I don't use words like stupid, Colin. I would never say that.
Oh,
He
man.
just wants you to
Oh,
read it to
okay.
yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
We may need to go sidebar real quick.
Have you finished reading it?
Yes, uh-huh.
Approach sidebar, please.
Oh, it's painful to watch this now. I mean, it's just getting painful. I don't like any of this stuff. I just, Hey, my delivery of these is 4 stops away apparently. He's come back closer to my house now, so 4 stops away, yes. Just down the road actually. It's the first trial I've watched without seeing the evidence on screen at the courtroom. I'm trying to think. We probably watch more trials with it on the screen than not, but yes, we watched quite a few without it being on the screen. It's all down to technology and stuff. It is. It's definitely down to technology. I'm trying to think when's the last time we did one without it being on screen. It's quite a long way away, actually, thinking about it. We did go through a phase of, I think, back-to-back trials without having it on the screen, which is annoying. And we've had some trials where we can see certain ones, but there's certain ones we can see. Obviously, certain ones you can't see because of the bodies and stuff like that. Like, it's an interesting one. The last one we did, actually, we didn't see anything until we saw a couple of stuff. Yes, he's definitely going to be found guilty, Sue. Definitely. Whether it's first degree, second degree, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be found guilty, yes. Yeah, the last trial we did. Do you remember that one? We saw a couple of clips of the body, but other than that, they didn't really show us too much evidence. Not all of it, then. They showed us the things we didn't want to fucking see. Oh, my heart. Da, da, da. Da, da, da. There's Ali Simon. Which one's that one? That's a long. When was Liz Ali Simon? Well, that was a long time ago, wasn't it? Leilani Cheapers. That was last year, wasn't it? Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, that was Quinton. Yeah, I remember Quinton. That was ages ago, wasn't it? Fuck. That's I remember the name. That's November. November. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that one now. It was back in November, yeah. Sad one. Well, we got another sad one coming up. Talking about up, Erin Hack is here. Viv said, have you read up about the baby evening trial? Evening trial? Are you talking about the Tennessee one? Well, that's our next trial, Viv. The Tennessee. Oh, you probably mean Evelyn, don't you? Baby Evelyn, yeah? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's our next trial. That's what we'll be doing. They're selecting the jury today. Hopefully, it starts tomorrow, potentially. I think it's either going to start tomorrow or Wednesday, that one. So. Bow, wow, wow, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, wow. I wonder what they're discussing. There's supposed to be a quick sidebar. We don't don't say that name to Erin. I don't. We're doesn't matter. Carragher trial was. Wow. That was so long. So long. They're, obviously looking for a retrial in that one. Oh. Carragher, they like, oh, trust me, before your time, 4.5 months, I think it was in the end. And I was the only streamer in the whole world streaming it. It was tough. Tough, tough, tough. No, I'm not. I'm not, Dave. I don't even know when it's on. I've not covered any of those, so I'm out. I know the case, but I'm out of touch with it all. Yeah, it was. I certainly enjoyed it, Josie, but I don't think I could do it again. To me, it was just too. It's just too much, I think. March 6th. Yeah, well, maybe, but I don't know that. I can't promise if I will be doing it. I've not covered any of the other ones, so I feel a little bit like I'm out of touch with it. I don't really know anything about it. But we'll see. Never say never, Dave. Never say never. We might need a trial in between, so between our next trial and Karen Reid, so never say never, David. Never say never. Who's going to be your next quarterback in Oregon, Dave? Yeah, Groundhog, that little fricker saw his shadow. What does that mean, though? I don't understand what that means. I understand that you do that tradition, but I don't know what it means. He sees a shadow or doesn't see a shadow? How do you... It's just being his son or the other one's been out. Ah, okay. I remember it, yeah. 6 more weeks of winter. Oh, no. And Robin, 6 more weeks of winter. Fuck. What's that take us to? Yeah, but it's all a myth, though, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, to middle March. What? But how do you know? Does he speak? Because I'm going to say, hey, I just saw my shadow. Oh, my delivery's coming. One stop away. Phil the groundhog is like 1,000 years old. Jeepers. Oh, my. You'll see me jumping up in a second now to get my parcel. One stop or another. I need a code now. Fuck, hang on. Let me get my code up. I gotta one way or another. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna ticky one way or another. I got my codey. Code. Right. Correlation between sea shadow and not to how the weather will be. I don't get it. You guys have got, weird traditions, but so we, I suppose. How long do kids have off for summer break? 6 weeks. Yeah, 6.5 weeks in the UK, something like that, because they normally have teachers training days as well and stuff. I think in America, you don't have. How long do you have off for summer? Erin Hack will know because she tears her hair out. 3 months: June, July, and August. Cheapers. Does the yellow bus then not go out at all for 3 months? We got a one way or another. I'm gonna find you. Oh, my delivery's here. Hang on. Oh, motherfucker. You stop somewhere else first. Right, I'm gonna go out and prepare myself for the delivery. He stopped with someone else. I can see him though. Right, I'm gonna go out and get my delivery. I'll be back again. Guess who's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back. I'll be back. I'll wait for him to get in the car, in the van, and then one way or another. Oh, yeah, that's different. UK is 3 weeks for Christmas, 3 weeks for Easter, or 2 weeks for Easter, sorry. So that's where they make it up then. You might as well teach them at home, Erin. You work from home anyway, so you might as well teach them at home. Save some gas on that yellow bus of yours. This is a long sidebar. One way or another, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna fuck one way. Right, I'm gonna go out and get my parcel. I'd fire myself, I know. I'd fire you as well. So far behind her.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Dedman, we're almost done, all right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Dedman, is it a fair statement that Kathy had expressed to you that she was getting very frustrated with the fact that your grandson wouldn't do his chores, was disrespectful, and was basically just taking his mom for granted?
Yes.
And when Kathy was communicating with you on September 7th and September 8th, that was the Saturday and the Sunday, she did so by both text messages as well as phone calls, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Kathy made it clear that she wanted your grandson home by 10 a.m. on Sunday, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then when that didn't happen, when 10 a.m. came and went, she still made it clear that she wanted your grandson to come home, correct?
Yes.
And Kathy mentioned that she wanted him home. She wanted him to go get work at Domino's from like 4 or 4:30 to 8 or 8:30 on Sunday, correct?
Yes.
And your grandson was working at Domino's, correct?
Yes, he was.
And so Kathy wanted him home so he could then go to Domino's that night, correct?
Yes.
And then kind of towards the end of the communications, then Kathy told you she was going to your house to get Collin to come home, correct?
Yes.
And she told you that either he could go home with her or he could drive, basically follow her in his car, correct?
Yes.
All right. Thank you for your time today, Ms. Dedman.
Thank you.
I have no regret.
The witness released.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Levine, is she released?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other witnesses or other evidence you wish to present?
No, sir. That's right.
Regrets? Will there be any rebuttal, Mr. Levine?
No, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, both parties have rested their cases. The next phase would be closing arguments, followed by your instructions on the law and then deliberations. Closing arguments in these types of cases are typically not short. Also, I need to have a conference with the lawyers regarding the jury instructions, although it is up to me to decide what laws apply and how you should be instructed. They do have a right to give input. That conference could take some time. So if we did all of that in closing arguments, we would be sending you out probably mid to late afternoon. And I don't want to do that to you. So I'm going to give you an early day today. We are going to work the rest of the afternoon to get all of those strings tied up so that tomorrow morning we'll begin directly with closing arguments, and then the instructions will already be finalized, and you will be probably going to deliberations around lunchtime, I would imagine. So you're going to have an early day. Now, although you have heard all of the evidence, actually, I'm not quite sure about that. Give me just a moment. Would you approach just sidebar real quick?
So there you go. Rested on that. Sorry, I'm setting up my mother's iPad now. Wow. So they're going to be working today. We'll stick with them because I'm quite interested to see what they're going to do today.
Our schedule, ladies and gentlemen. So before I dismiss you, I just need a few minutes with the lawyers outside your presence. So if you would just wait for us in the hallway for a moment.
All rise, please.
I don't either. Oops. I agree with you, Robin. I don't think she helped that much.
Griffith, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I did not ask you about whether or not you wanted to give testimony in this case, so I need to talk to you about that. I assume, based on your lawyer having rested, that you did not want to testify. Is that correct?
No, Your Honor.
That's not correct, or no, you did not want to testify?
I did not want to testify, Your Honor.
And have you talked about that with your lawyers today?
Yes,
Have you talked about it with them on more than one occasion?
several, yes.
And did they answer any questions you had about whether or not you should testify and address any concerns you had about doing one thing or the other?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And do you need any more time with them before you answer my question in a few minutes about whether this is your final decision? Do you need any more time with them?
Take a minute.
All right. So he can, Mr. Larson, if he can take them to the jury room.
47.
What happened? Where's he going? Is he going to talk to? Oh, you could see if he's going to testify. I don't think he'll testify. Sorry, I'm just trying to set this up. Talk to lawyers about testifying. Yeah, don't. You're screwed, buddy. So get a spanking. Oi, oi. I'm sure some of you would want to do that. Mofos. As one way or another, we got Christine Fortunato. He said, no, don't stop me now. No, don't stop me. I'm having a good time, Ba, ba, da, ba, ba. Oh, he's back. Guess who's back again.
Griffith, you've had just a few minutes, I assume, as long as you wanted to talk some more with your lawyers about this, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did they answer any additional questions or concerns that you had?
They did, Your Honor.
You got any questions of me about your right to testify versus your right to remain silent?
No, Your Honor.
And it is your right to remain silent, and I'll be telling the jury that you're not to be concerned by that or view it as an admission of guilt. But one thing I need to make certain of is that you understand that this is your choice in this case. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
There are many things your lawyers can do without your permission, things they can do that you disagree with, even things that you speak up and tell me you don't want them to do, but not this. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have they explained that to you, that no matter what they think, it's your decision?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, they are supposed to give you some advice and counsel about what they think you should do. Are you satisfied with the advice and counsel they've given you?
I am.
And today, are you under the influence of anything, drugs, alcohol, or medicine?
No, Your Honor.
And any concerns related to competency? Have any of those arisen over the weekend, Mrs. Hornfeld?
None.
Mr. Hendry?
No, Your Honor.
And has anyone, including either of your lawyers, promised you anything or threatened you to keep you off the witness stand?
No, Your Honor.
This is your choice and your choice alone?
I know, Your Honor.
Is it?
Yes.
And you do not want to testify?
I do not.
Anything else you want on the record,
No, sir.
Mr. Hendry?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, we can have the jury. I find that your choice is freely, knowingly, and intelligently made, and that it's made upon the advice of competent counsel.
No, Christine, tomorrow.
We're not raising additional argument on judgment of acquittal, but we would maintain our previous motion.
Same ruling.
So they're not done for today. I want to see what they're going to. Are they going to allow us to hear? Because I think they're going to be doing jury instructions today. I'm not sure. Normally, I don't listen to jury instructions. I just want to see if there's any arguments about what the final charges will be. What will be. Whatever is be. Will be. The jury are done, but right, hang on, I'll be back now. Just wait for the jury to come back and to announce what's going on, what time they come back tomorrow and stuff like that. So they can't proceed until the jury have been sent home. Beg you borrow dollar that tomorrow. Tomorrow. I love a share. Tomorrow's day away. I think yeah, no, depending on what he says here, I do think actually I might finish for the day, so I can go give my mother this iPad and stuff. How far this jury then? Cheapers. Originally, hello Sandy, my darling. Originally they were supposed to be in the hallway, but then he did send them back up because he had to go in the hallway. The defendant had to go in the hallway, so they had to go back to their rooms then, which is a pain. Good morning, I'm tardy to the party. Well, the party's ended. Tomorrow is closing statements. I'm here with fucking 2 iPads, 3 iPads.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I was saying, although you have heard all the evidence in this case, you still have not heard the arguments of the lawyers or the instructions on the law. So remember, it's not time to think about how you might decide the case or to formulate any opinions about the merits of the case. Also remember to avoid the news as I previously instructed you, and to avoid talking about the case with anyone or looking anything up. Now, tomorrow you'll be receiving this case for deliberations. I want to remind you that a jury may deliberate as much or as little as it feels necessary to that particular jury to do so. But what that means is that it's possible your deliberations could go past 5 o'clock if that's what you all agreed to. It could be earlier than that, but the point is you may want to let those who would normally be expecting you after 5 o'clock, that if you're not home, that the jury has chosen to continue deliberating. So just keep that in mind. Also, if you've been bringing your lunch during jury service, you may still do that, but I want to advise you that the court will be providing you with lunch tomorrow, because I anticipate you will begin your deliberations around lunchtime. And that way you won't have to separate, because you won't be allowed to deliberate unless you're all together at the table in the jury room. That will facilitate your deliberations beginning as soon as possible. So I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow morning at 8:30.
All right.
So that's it. End of. They are coming back tomorrow for closing statements, Lady Di. So the deliberation start by lunchtime tomorrow. So that's what that is. So it'll be done tomorrow. So if the other trial starts tomorrow, potentially, what we'll do is we'll watch what you call it, this in the morning, and then we'll zoom through the other one then. That's the plan.
Would you want to break before we take up jury instructions?
Whatever the court's desire.
I'm ready now.
All right. I want to make sure everyone gets a sufficient break before we start that, especially the court reporter. So we'll just take 5 minutes for a comfort break.
Right, I'm going to end it there because we'll come back tomorrow and see what the charges are, because I want to finish this stuff for my mother. So there you go. So yes, tomorrow they're doing closing arguments tomorrow, and yeah, we'll be doing 2 trials. We start the new trial tomorrow if it starts, but we'll do this first thing and then that afterwards with 2 separate streams. So we'll do it that way. So okay, I'm gonna love you and leave you for now. No worries, Deb. You come whenever you can, my darling. Everybody look after yourselves. I'm sure there's stuff you can all do now. I'll just say I've got 3 fucking iPads in front of me to try and fix. So I will do that. And we'll be covering the Evelyn trial tomorrow. So maybe you want to look that up a little bit and see what that is about. Right, peace out, everybody. Love you all. Have a great day. It could be a longer day tomorrow because of 2 trials. So we might be here a little bit longer tomorrow. Peace out. Thank you, everybody. Love you all. Take care.